Hi guys, NCWQ here, and I have y'all looking at EMSC. 8 hours and 22 minutes ago, there was a 5.0 Vancouver Island, Canada region, and we're going to look and see that there have been some other earthquakes within the same area from 4/17/2024 till now. There's been other earthquakes, Vancouver, 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 Vancouver. So we'll look at this is the area where this earthquake has struck. And um, this is an earthquake of magnitude 5.1 that was recorded off the coast of Vancouver Island, not far from Port Hardy. Natural Resources Canada says the quake hit at 7:49 a.m. on Friday with an epicenter 10 kilometers below the Earth's crust. In an online post, Natural Resources says there are no reports of damage and none would be expected. The quake occurred in a seismically active area along the Cascadia subduction zone, where two plates of the Earth's crust meet. The government department's website says that the squeezing of the plates causes about 300 small tremblers every year in southwestern BC, but warns the plate could eventually snap loose, generating a devastating offshore subduction earthquake with a magnitude 9 or greater. This quake took place approximately 125 miles west of Tofino, Canada. The location of the earthquake is approximately 297 miles from downtown Seattle, and the U.S. National Tsunami Warning Center did not issue any tsunami alerts or warnings. The earthquake zones in Canada, the continental shifting of large segments of Earth's crust called tectonic plates causes more than 97% of the world's earthquakes. Eastern Canada is located in a stable continental region within the North American plate and as a consequence has relatively low rate of earthquake activity. Nonetheless, large and damaging earthquakes have occurred here in the past and will inevitably occur in the future. Each year, approximately 450 earthquakes occur in eastern Canada. Of this number, perhaps 4 will exceed magnitude 4, 30 will exceed magnitude 3, and about 25 events will be reported felt. A decade, on average, including three events greater than magnitude 5. A magnitude 3 event is sufficiently strong to be felt in the immediate area, and a magnitude 5 event is generally the threshold of damage. The seismograph network of Earthquakes Canada can detect all events exceeding magnitude 3 in eastern Canada and all events magnitude 2.5 or greater in densely populated areas. The causes of earthquakes in eastern Canada are not well understood. Unlike plate boundary regions, where the rate and size of seismic activity is directly correlated with the plate interaction, eastern Canada is part of the stable interior of the North American plate. Seismic activities, whoops, seismic activities in areas like these seem to be related to the regional stress fields, with the earthquakes concentrated in regions of crustal weakness. And let me show y'all this so you can see this is the area that I'm talking about. This is eastern Canada here. You can see the difference in sizes here as they showed 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7s. And it looks like they've had some 7s here. Although earthquakes can and do occur throughout most of eastern Canada, years of instrumental recordings have identified certain clusters of earthquake activity. Right, Northern Ontario has a very low level of seismic activity. From 1970 to 1999, on average, only one or two magnitudes 2.5 or greater earthquakes have been recorded in this large area. Two magnitude 5s, and that was in 1905, northern Michigan, and 1928, northwest of Kapuskasing, have occurred in this region. And then you talk about the southern Great Lakes seismic zone, and that region has a low to moderate level of seismicity when compared to more active seismic zones to the east, along with Ottawa River and Quebec. Over the past 30 years, on average, 2 to 3 magnitudes 2.5 or larger earthquakes have been recorded in the southern Great Lakes Basin. By comparison, over the same time period, the smaller region of western Quebec experienced 15 2.5 or greater earthquakes per year. And this is the area we're talking about here. Western Quebec seismic zone. The Western Quebec seismic zone constitutes a vast territory that encloses the Ottawa Valley from Montreal to to Temiskaming, as well as Laurentians and Eastern Ontario. The urban areas of Montreal, Ottawa, Hull, and Cornwall are located in this zone. Oops. And this is the area we're speaking about here. This is Ottawa. You can see Kingston here. The pattern of historical activity recorded by the Canadian Seismograph Network since the beginning of the century shows the earthquakes concentrating in two subzones, one along the Ottawa River and the second along the more active Montreal Maniwaki axis. The historical seismicity for this area is 1932. An earthquake estimated at 5.8 on the Richter scale shook Montreal, causing significant damage. In 1935, the area Temiskaming was shaken by an earthquake of magnitude 6.2. In 1944, an earthquake of magnitude 5.6 located between Cornwall, Ontario, and Massena, New York, caused damage evaluated at $2 million of time. From time to time, the area is also shaken by weaker earthquakes felt by the local population. In 1990, an earthquake of magnitude 5 took place near Montlaur, Quebec. In 1996 and 1997, two earthquakes of magnitude 4.4 and 4.3 occurred near Saint-Athie-des-Monts, Quebec. An earthquake occurs in western Quebec seismic zone every 5 days on average. Then we have the Charlevoix seismic zone. Located some 100 kilometers downstream from Quebec City, the Charlevoix seismic zone is the most seismically active region in Canada, as most earthquakes occur under the St. Lawrence River between Charlevoix County on the north shore and Kamouraska County on the south shore. The region is also referenced as Charlevoix-Kamouraska seismic zone, and this is the area we're speaking about here. Then we have the lower Lawrence seismic zone. Located some 400 kilometers downstream from Quebec City in the estuary of St. Lawrence River, the lower St. Lawrence seismic zone is a seismically active region in eastern Canada. As most earthquakes occur under the St. Lawrence River between the regions of Quebec North Shore and lower St. Lawrence, this zone is sometimes referred to as the lower St. Lawrence Quebec North Shore. And see, we're talking about the East Coast right now so that you know. Then we have the Northern Appalachians seismic zone. In the Miramichi area of central New Brunswick, a series of significant earthquakes occurred in 1982. Largest was a 5.7 and was followed by numerous aftershocks thereafter. The zone also witnessed a continuing low level of seismic activity, including many larger historic earthquakes in New Brunswick. Then we have the Laurentian Slope Seismic Zone. The Laurentian Slope Seismic Zone comprises an area off Canada's southeast coast, which includes the Grand Banks of Newfoundland. You can see this is the area that they're speaking of here. In 1929, a large 7.2 earthquake occurred near the Grand Banks and was responsible for a large tsunami, which tragically drowned 27 people when it came ashore on the Burin Peninsula in southern Newfoundland. This was one of the few incidents involving loss of life in any recorded Canadian earthquake. And 1 second here. So move on to the western side of Canada. The offshore region from, let me back up for a minute. The western coast of Canada is one of the few areas in the world where all three of these type plates movements take place, resulting in significant earthquake activity. Earthquakes in this region occur along the faults of the offshore region. You have Haida Gwaii earthquakes of 1949 with its subducting ocean plate. And then you have the 6.5 earthquake beneath downtown Seattle in 1965. And then you have a 7.3 earthquake on central Vancouver Island in 1946. 1946. Moving inland from the coast, the active plate boundaries, the frequency and size of earthquakes decreases. Saskatchewan and Manitoba are the least earthquake-prone areas in Canada. The offshore region from northern Vancouver Island, and we're going to look at this map here on Google Earth. From northern Vancouver Island to Haida Gwaii, formerly Queen Charlotte Islands, the ocean Pacific plate is sliding to the northwest at about 6 centimeters per year relative to North America. The boundary between these two giant plates is Queen Charlotte Fault and Canada's equivalent of San Andreas Fault. Canada's largest historical earthquake, a magnitude 8.1, occurred along this fault on August 22, 1949. This earthquake, larger than the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, caused nearly a 500-kilometer long segment of the Queen Charlotte Fault to break. Cascadia Subduction Zone. West of Vancouver Island and extending from the northern tip of the island to northern California, the oceanic Juan De Fuca plate is moving towards North America at about 2.2 to 5 centimeters per year. This region is called Cascadia Subduction Zone. The smaller Juan De Fuca plate is sliding or subducting beneath the continent. It is about 45 kilometers beneath Victoria and about 70 kilometers beneath Vancouver. The ocean plate is not always moving, though. There is good evidence that the Juan De Fuca and North American plates are currently locked together, causing strain to build up in the Earth's crust. It is this squeezing of the crust that causes 300 or so smaller earthquakes that are located in southwestern British Columbia each year, and less frequent, once per decade, on average damaging crustal earthquakes. At some time in the future, these plates will snap loose, generating a huge offshore subduction earthquake, one similar to the 1964 M9.2 Alaska earthquake, or the 1960s M9.5 Chile earthquake. Current crustal deformation measurements in this area provide evidence for this model. Geological evidence also indicates that a huge subduction earthquake has struck this coast every 300 to 800 years. The St. Elias region of the southwest Yukon Territory, northwest British Columbia, and southeast Alaska is one of the most seismically active areas in Canada. Here, the plate boundary between the giant Pacific and North American plates is changing from one of the transform, sliding past one another, to subduction, where the Pacific plate is being forced beneath the Aleutian Islands to the northwest. This results in very rapid uplift rates of up to 30 millimeters per year. The area of the plate margin has experienced many large earthquakes, including a sequence of 3 earthquakes of magnitude 7.4 to 8.0 in the year 1899. In 1958, a magnitude 7.9 earthquake occurred along the Fairweather Fault, and that's the northern extension of Queen Charlotte Transform Fault. Let's see if we can find this here. Oops. Do I have my fault lines turned on? I think I do. That's the continental transform fault there. Okay, that's the North American Pacific plate right there, a transform boundary. The most significant inland zone of seismicity follows the Dalton and Duke River segments of the Denali Fault Zone through the southwest Yukon. Farther inland, there is a minor seismicity between Denali and Tentena fault systems. The rate of seismic activity increases at the eastern edge of the Cordillera. The northern Rocky Mountain region is one of the most seismically active areas of Canada. The large earthquake recorded in this area to date is a magnitude 6.9 earthquake on December 23, 1985, in the Mackenzie Mountains of Northwest Territories. And let's find the Mackenzie Mountains. So we'll look up Mackenzie Mountains here. And the Mackenzie Mountains are here. So we can see where those are. Of the Northwest Territories. Magnitude 6 plus earthquakes have occurred in the Richardson Mountains of the Yukon Territory. M6.2 in May 1940, M6.5 in June 1940, and M6.6 in March of 1955. The Southern Cordillera, which is the Rocky Mountain Trench, and let's see if we can find the Rocky Mountain Trench here. Which would be down here, but let me see. That's, yeah, right over here. This is the Rocky Mountain Trench. South of 60 north, seismicity in the interior and Rocky Mountain areas drops off rapidly. The largest earthquake recorded in the southern Cordillera was a magnitude 6.0 in 1918 that struck Valmont area of the Rocky Mountain Trench. In 1986, a magnitude 5.5 earthquake occurred in Prince George, causing some minor damage. Seismicity area in the prairie region south of 60N is predominantly confined to the southern Saskatchewan in a zone that continues into Montana. The largest earthquake ever recorded in this area was a magnitude 5.5 event on May 15, 1909, near the Canada-United States border. Small induced earthquakes associated with potash mining in southern Saskatchewan are sometimes recorded. So I hope y'all enjoyed a little bit of the background regarding Canada's earthquakes. I know I did. So let's show y'all where this 5.0 earthquake occurred on Google Earth. So this is the location of where this earthquake occurred. This is the Juan De Fuca, and it's also a divergent boundary. This is our plate here, and this area moves at 42 millimeters per year. This is subduction zone, and I can't seem to ever pull that one up. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed some updates here. I know I did, and hope y'all will come along for more videos. Um, much love. God bless. If you would like to join an earthquake group, check below the video. Hope y'all have a great day.